that Mrs. McLean has, which some of it is coming directly out of shade meetings, things that she couldn't possibly know. I'm not going to discuss every issue. I stand by every word I wrote, though, by the way. Mrs. McLean very much would like to be assured that I don't get reelected. Maybe a lot of other people would, too. I'd like to get reelected. Chief, I used to think that you might, too. I'm going to have to file a complaint with the Election Bureau, so I can't go into every article and every word that she's written. But if anybody reads the Banana Peel, they would read and understand the low-level type of character assassination that this woman does, and might ask themselves why. What is the goal? Why would you think that you have to bring to the public's attention that Commissioner Fitzgerald has a pension, doesn't pay taxes, has serious health problems, falls asleep, shouldn't drive his car, and that's not the end of it. Even going back 30 years, more than 30, 50 years into some personal relationships while I was in the department. Things that she couldn't know unless they were investigated by someone else. The only person that I think that has that character trait to do that is Chief Giuliano, by the way. You may not like to hear that, but that's what I believe. I still ask you, Chief, why such access for Debbie McLean? You're welcome, and everybody does, and I do. Why not come to the firehouse and see what goes on here, ask questions, do whatever you like. But why does a person come here almost every day? Why is it every time I come here, she's here?
Commissioner Fitzgerald, I got to ask. I got one question in a statement that you made there.
Am I speaking to you?
No, I just have a question because it's a concern of all the board. If there's something that was taken from a shade meeting and given to Deborah or anybody else, and you have proof of that, you should bring that to the board because that's a serious violation. That's the only thing I'm going to ask about, is that if something came from a shade meeting and was put out into the public, that's a breach of duty.
It is really. It is a shame that something like that would be done, and it is a serious violation. Thank you for bringing that up. This is, I didn't expect you to do this today, Chief. I had no idea, so I should have been and could have been well prepared to respond to all of these issues. But again, I'm going to communicate to the Election Commission that there's interference with the election process, and we'll see what they say. I stand by what I wrote and what I believe. The utilization, I'm shameful to think that anybody in this department could use another person and another person's tool to attack one of the member of the department, and particularly a member of the Board of Fire Commissioners. And to use a title, I am the editor of the Bonita, of a newspaper, as a cover-up to get away with that. I think that's just, the whole process of the Banana Peel is shameful. Not just to me, by the way, not just to me. There's a Mr. McCourt, Mr. Robert Sharkey, and a dozen other politicians in Bonita Springs, Mr. Alex Grant. There's a dozen politicians in Bonita Springs that this woman attacks. I don't understand why anyone would attack a person. So, okay, that's about all I have to say.
The point that I was making, Commissioner, was that the administration does not condone or get involved with any of that. The information that the media sources or even citizens, like the people you just said, can get up and say whatever it is that they need. But the administration does not promote one way or the other any person, any position, any political candidate, any other way. That I just wanted to make that particular. The rest of it is immaterial to my my goal, which is to try to get the business of
Sure.
running a fire district.
I think you're a great example of a fire chief, by the way. But you're saying the administration as a universal object does not condone it. But you cannot control the individual person in the organization, what they do, Chief. So I know that you want and believe the organization to be pure, so do I, but it's not. That's all I can say, because of individuals.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I really have a problem with you attacking the deputy chief and not presenting any proof of him being involved in any of those articles.
I will submit that proof in the complaint to the election committee.
Well, I think you need to present them to
I
the
think-
board. I mean, that's a violation of his job performance. If you have proof of this, besides the election, you do what you want with the election. This is not about the election. This is about something that has gone wrong, and a serious accusation here. And I think that you need to bring that evidence to this board, and with the chief, we need to take a hard look if you have evidence of this, because that's the otherwise, if there's no evidence and we can't see it other than what you're telling us, then this is defamation of a very good officer at this point, the way we see it. So.
Mr. Chairman,
I
I
thought you
also,
might see it
Mr.
that
Chairman,
way.
I also agree with that, and I think that instead of sending emails out, he should be presenting us with evidence as a board. I think it should be in our hands, not in the emails.
Again, I thank you, Chief, for bringing this into the public view. I hope the press is here tonight and would start some investigation or some attempt to either confirm that they think this is okay or to stop it for not being okay.
We still run under the premise that you're innocent until proven guilty, and until we get proof, I feel very strongly that we can't smear somebody's reputation on hearsay. We have to have some evidence.
Yeah. Did you ever read one of the banana peels?
I don't think we need to read a banana
No.
peel.
Okay, well, if you read them, you
What I
might
don't
think that.
understand is, what does that have to do with the deputy chief? Okay? Did he write the articles? I'm sorry, you come up here and you slander him, and yet you don't show any proof that he was the one that supplied all that information. If you have that proof, I'd like you to present it.
I didn't make this presentation here. The chief made the presentation. I didn't ask that this.
But you made accusations here today
I'm responding
about
to
the
the chief.
deputy chief. I heard you.
What would you like?
Well, I want proof that he was involved in all of those articles.
I will bring you the proof that I have. Would you like me to go home and get it?
No, but at very near future, you need to present it to the chief.
I would like to see that also, because like, as you know, and I've explained, that I don't tolerate that. I don't tolerate that.
Okay.
So if I hear, and that is the exact reason why I had Deputy Chief Giuliano write that letter to me and sign it. Should proof come up that is not accurate, then that is on him. He went out of his way, and when I say out of his way, but he did what I asked him, which was to explain his relationship and what kind of information he's giving to members of the public. And anything outside of what is acceptable to this administration is not acceptable to me.
I will bring you that, Chief, really. It's just this is not an aside, but if you go back a little while with Chief Giuliano, the relationship between he and I, when his son-in-law was fired from the Centerville Fire Department, he wrote a letter to the entire fire department here, this fire department, and accused me of
Commissioner,
getting
this
his
is out of line.
son-in-law fired.
Commissioner Fitzgerald,
No,
you're out
sir.
of line. Well, we're not
I have
having
the
this
letter.
discussion
I have
here.
the letter.
You're
I
out
have
of
the letter where
line.
he wrote, yeah, okay.
You're out of line.
I'm what?
You're out of line bringing this up at this stage.
We're
It's
talking
personnel issues. You do not bring personnel issues up into this
This is-
situation.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Okay, next item on the agenda, Deputy Chief Giuliano.
Thank you, everybody. I've got 3 stories to talk about today. First one's a structure fire. Natalie, you gotta help me. While she's doing that, I'll get started. First one I'm going to talk about is a structure fire. It happened about 11:30 at night. Bonita units were dispatched to report a structure fire with smoke showing. Dispatch reported that the fire was in the garage and all occupants were out of the house. Units arrived on scene and found light smoke showing from the garage area. Engine 21 made entry into the garage through the home and found heavy smoke conditions inside the garage. They proceeded to extinguish the fire. Thank you. With an 1 3/4 pre-connected hose line. Truck 25 assisted with opening the overhead garage door. Overhead garage doors are inherently dangerous in structure fires. If you open them, get inside, they'll close behind you and trap you. So you gotta have guys that know what they're doing, get the door open to keep it open. Engine 23 arrived and began hydrant operations. After the fire was extinguished and upon further investigation, we found several refrigerators plugged into one extension cord that had overheated and caught on fire. This guy had like 6 refrigerators inside his garage, and he had them all plugged into one outlet. What happened was the amperage going through the cord, and the cord was coiled up, got heat, and there was a bunch of debris on the floor, caught fire. The garage was completely full of debris. Crews removed all contents of the garage and onto the driveway and checked for extension. The attic was checked and cleared. The owner stated that he had no insurance on the house, and after investigation, no arson was suspected. Our crews were able to confine the smoke damage to the garage only, with no spread to the main structure in the attic. It's kind of interesting because, well, this homeowner was very thankful to us for saving his house, of course. He didn't have insurance. But he advised us that several years ago his brother went into cardiac arrest and was revived by our firefighters. That same brother had a fire in his garage, and it was a ice maker. And we put that fire out. And the same crew that put this fire out was the same crew that put out that fire and brought his brother back to life, basically. And it's kind of appropriate with Lieutenant Scott and his uncle here about the community and how we are part of the fabric of this community. Here's a guy, we knew him, we knew his brother. His brother's a CERT member. He's very well regarded in our department. He's very well regarded in the community, and we were able to save his life and save his brother and his houses, so it was kind of neat. Next one. This one here was a call came in around 3:30 in the afternoon. Engine 21 responded to report a smoke in the area of East Terry Street and Matheson Avenue. Battalion 20, Safety 20, South Dispatch has control upgraded this call to a brush fire. Battalion 20 dispatched several other units as well. Battalion 20, Engine 21 arrived to find a large, heavily wooded area, approximately 2 acres on fire with crowning in the trees. Crowning is when the fire gets to the point where it's in the tops of the trees, very dangerous. It moves very fast and very unpredictable. The size of this fire eventually got to about 5 acres. Fire was spreading steadily in heavy fuel and located between East Terry Street on the south and Silverado Drive on the north. Oh, thank you, I forgot my picture. See, that's why we got to have Natalie here to help us out. This is just one picture from that fire. Okay, fire was spreading steadily in heavy fuel and located between East Terry Street and South Silverado Drive on the north off Bonita Drive. Engine 21 pulled a hand line and attempted to knock down the south head fire. At this time, Battalion 20 split his forces and directed Safety 20 to proceed to Silverado Drive, where he reported about 8 or 9 structures were in danger on that side of the fire. This fire was in the middle. There was fire on both sides streets, and you had to go all the way around off Old 41 and come back around. Yeah, you gotta be careful, with controlled burns and stuff, and, you know, this wasn't a controlled burn, but that's why you need controlled burns. This was a rather, kind of a small plot of land compared to some places around here where they routinely have controlled burns, so this is like a large vacant lot. What happens is they get so overgrown with weeds and things like that, that they get packed with fuel. So when they catch fire and they're all close to homes, they're kind of hard to put out, kind of dangerous. They had 9 homes in danger and a church. Okay, Engine 21 disconnected or pre-connected at this time, proceeded from East Terry Street to go to Silverado Drive to protect the structures. It meant Engine 23 there. Engine 21 connected to a hydrant at the end of Silverado Drive, operated 2 hand lines and a truck-mounted deluge, and that's what this is. That's them putting the fire out from the street. Hand lines were placed at the east and west boundaries of the fire. Brush 24 operated in and around the south perimeter of the fire. Truck 25 arrived on scene and connected to the hydrant on East Terry Street and operated the elevated platform with 2 master stream devices, knocking down the east and south head fire. So we had a lot of water being put on this and protected the church on the south side and the homes on the north side, and there's about 50-foot high flames right up to the homes. Bonita 3, that's me, arrived on scene and took over the district. MAC coverage was requested for the district due to subsequent calls. MAC coverage is minimum acceptable coverage. We got something worked out in Lee County where if there's a big fire somewhere, the battalion chief on duty will call for MAC coverage. What they'll do is they'll switch everybody. They'll move us, like say it's up in Fort Myers. They'll move South Trail up one, they'll move Estero up one, they'll move Bonita up one, and they just cover the district that way. So at that point in time, we had Fort Myers Beach, Estero, North Naples covering our district. Battalion 20 called for a DOF tractor. They arrived and proceeded to plow a ring around the fire. We were on that scene for about 3 hours. So that was that one. Then, did you get this next one from Greg? All right, Bonita Springs Fire Department units responded to a high-angle rescue. 2 workers hanging from safety line on the 6th floor. This was on the news just a week or so ago. So while en route, Lieutenant Bunn from Engine 22 requested Lee Control to reactivate our tones and have Truck 25 and Squad 21 respond. Lieutenant Bunn also requested USAR activation and additional units from Fort Myers Beach, Lehigh, and Estero to respond. Lieutenant Bunn knew that they had ladder trucks that were higher and had a better reach than our capability than what we had. So he got some longer reaching ladder trucks coming, and at USAR, which is the Urban Search and Rescue, who specialize in this kind of stuff. On arrival, we were notified that the workers were now at ground level. Yeah, that's it there, Greg, thanks. And may require medical attention, having been pulled inside by co-workers. Thank you, Greg. Lieutenant Bunn canceled all incoming units, and Engine 22's crew checked them out for injuries, and they both denied injuries and refused transport. You can see here that with the angle of the platform, the 2 guys were on there, they have harnesses. They'll hook into a rope, and as it came down, it just suspended them in the air. And you can also see where the windows were taken out and they were brought in. The 2 personnel were working on a swing stage scaffolding on the 6th floor of the building when one of the lift motors malfunctioned, causing one end of the scaffold to drop and the other end to stay in place. As the scaffolding dropped, workers were left hanging from their safety harnesses. Our crews then proceeded to assist in lowering the scaffolding to the ground level. By reaching out the open window of the 6th floor wearing a 5-point harness attached to a safety line anchored to the roof, then using the main lowering line with a separate anchor point on the roof, they manually released the emergency brake on the right side motor and they lowered the swing stage to an even level. They then proceeded to operate release controls on the motor to lower the swing stage to the ground. It was determined the left side motor braking system had failed to activate and it caused the left side of the swing stage to continue onto the 3rd floor, while the right side motor braking system remained engaged. Again, this is another reason why we do what we do. We train for this situation. We don't run a whole lot of high-rise calls, but we know what to do when we get there because we train. Now, we had to get the stage down. It was still up there. Someone had to do that because you couldn't leave it there. Again, we go back to when we had the tower rescue when Deputy Chief DeWitt climbed 750 feet to the top of a tower, and someone asked him, why didn't you wait until the people who do that get there and get them down? And we looked at him and said, well, we do that. So same thing here. your firefighters are highly skilled, highly trained individuals who have this in their toolbox. They can do this at any time. They didn't have to wait for anybody. They didn't have to delay the response or the attention we were giving to these people because they knew how to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
I have a comment. These reports that Chief Giuliani is giving are given at my request. They were never done before. And I had asked him if he could, at the monthly meeting, highlight some unusual operation that took place during the month. What it's turned out to be is a long, unnecessary reiteration of an operation that is in many cases routine. I think it's a unworthy use of department time, the audience's time, the commissioner's time. I would think we should get back to what the intention was just to highlight something unusual that happened during the month. That's my theory. I just think there's way too much time. I don't think it's valuable. Thank you.
Duly noted. Anybody here from 3444? Okay. Before we, okay, Commissioner's business. We might as well start with Commissioner Fitzgerald.
I prefer you start somewhere else.
Commissioner Forbes?
Tonight.
No, I have nothing.
Commissioner Conforti?
I have nothing.
Commissioner Castillo?
I have nothing at this time, thank you.
I have nothing. Back to you, Commissioner Fitzgerald.
I do have a sort of a motion or a request from the chief. On the deputy chief's report, this monthly report, which gives us the number of runs and things, I request that we amend it to give us the number of responses by unit. Engine 21 or 22, whatever they would be, the number of fires they responded to, the number of emergencies, and the number of medical calls. So we have a better idea, or I would have a better idea of just which one of the units is the busiest and what they're doing every month.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Before we do public input, I'd just like to remind everybody about some special dates coming up. Ribbon cutting ceremony for the training center here on August 15th at 11 a.m. Budget workshop is here August 18th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. A tentative budget hearing September 8th at 5:10. We have a Patriot Day service September 11th at 6 p.m. and that's at the Lyles Hotel. And final budget hearing September 25th at 5:01. That's all I have. I don't have any cards for public input. Is there anybody here who would like to get up and say anything?
Hi, I'm Deborah McLean, City Editor and Publisher of the Banana Peel. I want you to know that I report with the same enthusiasm on the city as I do on any commissioner or city elected official. And I'm proud of the Banana Peel. It now reaches 38,600 people. It's growing, and my responses are already positive. And I thank Mr. Fitzgerald for all the notoriety and bringing attention to me.
Yes, Alex Grant, 11851 East Terry Street, Bonita Springs, Florida. Wanted to ask a question on the head of the union. Is that individual currently a member of the administration staff? That's 344.
No.
Okay, because I thought there was a battalion chief that was head of the union.
Yes.
But that's not an administrative position?
No, sir, that's operational suppression.
So in other words, the only administrative position is the chief and the two deputy chiefs?
Yes, sir.
Any further comment, public input?
Good evening, Jesse Purdon, and I live on Silverado Drive East. The fire that you witnessed, or that you saw the pictures of, were actually taken from my phone. I wanted to come here today for two reasons. Number one, I wanted to show my gratitude for the Bonita Springs Fire Department, because though it may have seemed like a routine type operation, it was not routine to me. I had a gentleman come to my door and tell me that I needed to pack the important things. Until you get told that you need to pack the important things and you start looking around your house, you really don't understand the type of things that the fire department does, and I'm very grateful. I live on the very end of Silverado Drive East, and when the flames were over the trees and I truly thought that I was going to get in my car and have to leave, it was a very scary time. But the Bonita Springs Fire Department acted with military-like precision. They surrounded the fire on multiple sides, and they attacked. I brought out waters. I thanked them, and I was just worried about what might happen if my house went up. I started thinking about, insurance and things like that, things you don't generally think about on a afternoon in the weekend. I also, some of you may know, I represent United States Congressman Kurt Clausen. And I was telling Congressman Clausen about this event when I saw him over the weekend, and he asked me today to share this letter with the chief on behalf of the fire department. And I'd like to read it and then just give it to you, and then I'll let you get back to the meeting. Chief Joseph Daigle, please accept my sincerest thanks for the hard and dangerous work that you and your department do on behalf of the people of Bonita Springs. Your efforts make the city proud. Your work came to my personal attention when I learned that the brave men and women of your department saved the house of my district representative, Jesse Purdon, on July 20th, 2014. According to the reports I've heard, your firefighters acted with extreme precision to quickly and safely surround and extinguish a fire that was started by a lightning strike. Their timely actions saved a number of homes, including Mr. Purdon's. While this may have just been a small incident to your department, their excellent work is deeply appreciated by the affected community. Again, thank you. Thank your department for their hard work in keeping Bonita Springs safe. Sincerely, Congressman Kurt Clausen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Any more public input?
Hi, Ron Pure, Bonita resident, member of Tagster. Oh, excuse me, that's our publication. That's TAGSTIR, and of course you're all welcome to subscribe to it if you wish. It's a little adjunct of Taxpayer Action Group. We've been around for many years in Bonita Springs, watching budgets and things of that sort. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to skim over this because I understand you folks have more workshops coming up with respect to your budget. But I just like to say that I got a call recently and someone brought to my attention that so far you folks are asking for $6 million, I'm going to round out the numbers, $6,500,000 last year, or the current year's budget for salaries. And that will go to $7 million if you get the budget that you've been discussing so far. The overtime account will go up to from $50,000 to $96,000 in the projected or proposed budget. I stand to be corrected on any of these numbers, but I believe them to be correct. Special pay incentives will go from about $580,000 to about $750,000. Retirement pension now occupies about $3.8 million of the budget. Much of it the taxpayers' money that we contribute towards the pension, very generous platinum-plated pensions. And that will be an additional $600,000 this year. Now, it is either 3.8 currently, and it will go to 4.4, but I think you understand where I'm going with